their screen. So I'm just sharing my screen, and we'll start with the presentation. I hope my screen is visible. Can anyone respond, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. So virtual labs. So the very first thing a picture which came into our mind as soon as we hear the term virtual. So virtual means something which is not physically present. And labs, we are all very well aware that labs are a place where we have a particular setup and we perform the experiments. So virtual labs are those kind of labs that are not physically present, but they have the same characteristics, same attribute as those of physical labs. Whatever we observe in the physical labs, same things can be observed over here as well on this virtual labs. The only difference, these labs are just not existing physically, these are imaginary labs. So a great initiative by the Ministry of Education, which was formerly known as MHRD, and this complete project comes under the umbrella project of NMEICT, that is National Mission Education for Information and Communication Technology. Now, the question arises that why do we require this kind of platform? What was the need for it? So way back in 2009, it was thought that something needs to be done so that the practical knowledge of the users can be enhanced. Irrespective of their geographical location, each and every user should be able to get good quality of education, and they should get equal opportunity to learn and understand the concepts. So that was the moment when virtual lab was born. So basically we are uh, trying to make sure that each and every user across India should get access to the good quality of labs, should have an equal opportunity to learn the things out, and also to enhance their practical knowledge. Moving on further, let us now talk about the salient features. What are the various features of this particular platform? The very first one is anytime, anywhere lab. This virtual labs can be accessed anytime, anywhere by any user. The basic requirements are a system and internet connection. These are the basic requirements. If you have internet and this particular system, you can easily explore all these labs. Next, we have virtual labs are totally free to use. As a user, you do not need to pay even a single penny in order to use virtual lab. These labs can be accessed for free. No membership fees is required, no registration fees is required, nothing at all. Now, let us focus on two main points developed in self-learning mode. Now, we should understand that good faculty members, good lab resources are not present each and everywhere. So what we have done, we have developed this particular virtual labs platform in such a way that a user can learn and understand a particular concept on their own. Next, we have innovative experimentations. Now, there are certain things which we cannot do in the physical labs. There are certain steps we cannot perform, but as a result, we are unable to innovate with the experiments. But this virtual labs, it gives us this particular privilege that it allows the user to try something new, to innovate something out, and it supports innovative experimentations part. Lastly, more than 100 virtual labs have been developed, and each virtual lab consists of at least 5 to 6 experiments. So as a result, we have more than 500 virtual experiments to choose from. Moving further, let us now talk about the motivational factors. Now, what are the factors that should motivate a user to take up this particular platform? So the very first one is physical distances. So each and every member present over here, we have realized that in the COVID-19 pandemic situation, the distance between the physical labs and the user, it was widened. No user was able to go to the physical labs and perform the experiment. But this virtual labs, it's give you this particular privilege that while sitting safely at your place, you can perform the experiments virtually. Next, we talk about sharing of costly equipments. Now, in the physical labs, in the physical scenario, we are very well aware that on a single setup, we have 4 to 5 users performing the experiment. That is because that particular setup is costly in nature. But what we have done over here on this particular platform, we have made sure that those costly equipments can be divided among each and every user. That particular equipment will be totally dedicated to them. Whatever, in whichever manner they want to perform the experiments, they have the full freedom. Lastly, we have proliferation of quality of labs. Now we should understand that on this particular platform, what you're going to find that on a single concept, you're going to see 2 to 3 different labs developed by different institutes. They are giving you, and we are trying to giving you a diversified content so that the users, they can learn and understand the concepts more easily. So that was the motivational part. Moving on further, we have the basic idea. Now, this slides will help you all to understand the basic crisp of virtual labs. So we have this virtual labs. These labs have been developed by us. They have been hosted on the cloud. And with the help of internet and your system, you can simply access all these labs. You are the remote users. Now let us talk about the objectives. Now, when the founding stones of this particular platform were being laid, there were various objectives that were clear in the mind of the developers as well as in the mind of the professors. Now, once they were thinking of this particular idea, they wanted that certain objectives must be fulfilled. So what were those objectives? The very first one, as we are regularly talking about, providing the remote access. So the remotely, the user, they should be able to access the labs, especially the labs that deals with science and engineering. Next, to cater the students, again, everything which is required to learn and understand a concept should be present over there at a single click. Third one, and a very interesting one, is to enable the students to learn at their own pace and arouse their own curiosity. Now, mostly faculty members are present, and each and every faculty member should agree with me that we have this two category of students. The very first one are fast learners. There are certain kind of students who quickly enter into the physical labs, quickly understand everything, takes the observations, perform the experiments, submit their lab files. But on the other hand, we even have slow learners. There are certain students who require more amount of time to learn and understand that how this particular experiment can be performed, how I can take the observations. But in the physical scenario, we have a particular time window. The physical lab lectures mostly vary for 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Okay, and also there are a particular setup on which 4 to 5 users are performing the experiment. So what is happening? Those slow learners, they are unable to generate the interest in the physical labs because they are unable to understand the basic idea and the basic concept. As a result, they lose their curiosity. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to make sure that every user get ample amount of time on this platform. There would be no time boundation. If you want that I should be performing this particular experiment for 2 hours, you have complete freedom for that. What we want that the students, they should devote their time, they should learn the things out, and then only they would be having certain innovative ideas and certain questions. They will have an interaction with the faculty members that will enhance their knowledge. Lastly, we have a complete learning system. Now, once we'll go for the demonstrations part, you will see that we have certain web resources, certain simulations, video lectures, animations. These things have been made present over there so that there would be an interactive environment. And again, it will enhance the learning process of the student. Now, this slide differentiates the physical labs from the virtual labs. So there are certain factors on which we have divided them. So the very first factor is cost. Yes, obviously, physical labs, if you try to set up a physical lab, you require monetary sums, but virtual labs, almost nil. If you talk about the availability, so we have seen in the COVID-19 pandemic situation, physical labs, they were not available with us, but virtual labs, 24/7, anytime, anywhere, you can have an access to these labs. Talking about the experimentations part, we understand that as an institute, the institute is concerned for the safety of the user as their first priority. Then the next priority is safety of the equipment. So that is why we do not allow to innovate and go out of the box and try something new in the physical labs. But virtual labs, it gives you a safer option. For example, I have a battery. I want to short circuit the battery and I want to see the output. So virtually, it can be done. Neither the equipment will get damaged, nor any harm would be there to the student. But when we talk about the user experience, please remember, physical labs has the best user experience because the real-time hands-on experience which the user gain in the physical labs, nothing can beat that. But yes, virtual labs will act as a complementary add-on. How? For example, you are aware that this particular experiment is going to perform today in the physical labs. Make sure that your students spare 15 minutes, they perform that particular experiment virtually first of all, then they go to the physical labs. What is the advantage? Once they perform the experiment virtually, they would be very well aware with the basic idea, prerequisite knowledge, how to make the connections, how to take the observations, everything would be clear to them, okay? And then they can simply step in the physical labs and quickly perform the experiments. So that was the difference between the physical labs and the virtual labs. Now you're gonna find these three categories of labs on our platform. The very first one is modeling and simulation-based labs. Now there are certain labs in which what we have done, we have simply created a replica of a real life process. For example, we perform acid-base titration. We observe a color change. Or other example, we observe a waveform on a CRO. So these things we call as modeling and simulation-based labs. Next, we have vision-based labs. Now, there are certain labs, certain experiments in which we require exact numerical values. So to those labs, those experiments, we call them as mission-based labs. Lastly, and the very interesting one is remote triggered. Now, these are those kind of labs in which what you can do as a user, you have a privilege that you are sitting far away from a particular setup, and you can trigger that particular setup in the real time. With the help of a video cam, you can see that particular setup, you can enter your own values into it, and in the real time, or whatever the changes that is happening, that would be observed to you. But yes, with this great advantage comes a great disadvantage. The remote trigger labs, they are not scalable. Only a single user can have an access to it at a single time. Whereas modeling-based labs and measurement-based labs, they are more scalable. Multiple users can use them simultaneously. So right now, our main focus is on modeling-based labs and mission-based labs. Now, if we talk about the intended users, I'll say anyone who has a will to learn, we have all the resources. Any user, they want to learn something, they can simply go and explore all these experiments. It is not confined to any of the particular category of the students. Okay. Now, these are the participating institutes. Now, IIT Delhi is the main coordinating institute. Then we have the other 6 IITs and other esteemed universities and institutes. So most of the labs have been developed by professors from these universities, these institutes. Talking about the broad areas in which virtual labs have been developed. So these are the broad areas. Starting from the very basic, we have physical science, chemical sciences. Going on further, we have electronics, communication, mechanical, civil. And yes, we are trying to explore more and more new domains in which virtual labs can be developed, and the user community, they can get benefit out of that. Now, the question arises, as a user, how I can reach to the main website? So please remember, in order to access all these labs, you need to remember this particular website. You need to remember the URL, that is www.vlab.co.in. So that is the main URL. All our labs, they have been hosted over here. Now we are coming to the end point of the presentation. So quickly summing it up, what do we have? Just consider virtual lab as a kind of a dish. And we are trying to add various ingredients. Okay. So the very first thing, on-demand labs, whenever you feel like, labs are there for you 24/7. Integrated learning, everything present at a single click. Third one, self-evaluation. We discussed about self-learning mode, that these labs are developed in self-learning mode. So to support that, we have certain quizzes part. After each and every experiment, there are certain set of questions. The user, they need to answer those set of questions and they can evaluate themselves how much they have understood. Animations, obviously actions, they have a louder impact than words. That is why we have tried to add more and more animations and video tutorials. Lastly, freedom to make mistakes. As a user, you can commit any mistake on this particular platform without damaging the equipment or without hurting yourself. Now, if you add all these things, we have a very good dish which is served to our nation that we call as virtual labs. Now, let us talk about the impact of the project. Now, this is a particular impact. Now, under each participating institute, we have the nodal centers. Now, let me elaborate the concept of nodal center. For example, we have this particular process where an institute, if they want to become a part of this virtual labs platform, what they need to do, they need to submit a EOI form, expression of interest form. Now that particular expression of interest form can be found on our main website. I'll show it to you. Now, once you submit that EOI form, you become our nodal center. Now, being a nodal center, you have certain privileges. Now, the very first thing is that once you become a nodal center, and for instance, you are trying to, you are performing any of the labs, your students are doing any of these virtual labs, and you face any queries at any time, you can simply put a mail to us and you can simply call us in the official hours. And a particular person from our side would be very happy to help you. Next thing is that whatever the data that we obtain from your end, okay, for example, the workshops, the interactions, this every data goes directly to the Ministry of Education. Third one is that till now, most of the labs, they have been developed by the participating institute. But being a nodal center, you also have this particular privilege that you can also develop one of your virtual labs and you can put it over here on this particular platform. Yes, you heard me right. Being a nodal center gives you this particular privilege that you can also contribute towards this particular platform by simply making one of or developing one of the labs. So that is a basic concept of nodal center. And as an institute, for example, right now I have received few EOIs from your end. So once we do this particular workshops, the name of all those institutes would be updated on our website list. Okay. These are the certain glimpses of the workshops, pre-pandemic situation, how we used to go, certain glimpse of that. Now we have this AICT model curriculum. Now AICT, they were quite impressed with our virtual labs. As a result, they have added this virtual labs in their model curriculum. I hope many of the faculty members, they might be aware of that particular thing. So that was the basic idea, the basic background about virtual labs. Yeah, for effectiveness, I humbly request all the participants that once a particular session is over, please go back and at least perform at least few experiments on your own. Then only you would be able to realize that how you can gain the knowledge out of it, or how you can gain the advantage from this particular platform. Now, without wasting any further time, let us quickly move to the demonstration part. That was the presentation part. And I'll simply switch to the main website that we have. Yeah. So as discussed, the URL vlab.co.in. So that is our main homepage. Now let us understand this particular homepage first of all. So we have this Virtual Labs logo. Okay. We have a Ministry of Education things written. Just adjacent to it, we have a small search engine. Now, if you are looking for any of the specific lab, what you can do, you can simply start typing the name of that particular lab. Okay. And there would be a drop-down list. From there, you can simply refer to that. Once again, I would like to tell each and every faculty member that Virtual Labs covers 70% of the curriculum. There might be a scenario where the specific lab that you are looking for might not be present. So in that particular case, please listen to us patiently, because we are trying to develop more and more new experiments, and we are trying to fill that 30% of the gap area. After that, we have the other options: home, about us, newsletters, the new lab development part, if anyone is interested for the new lab development. Now, then we have Become Nodal Center. Now, once you click over here, you're going to find the EOI form, expression of interest form. So what you can do, you can simply fill out that particular EOI form, and you can simply put a mail to us with a scanned copy of that. Then we have this outreach portal and so on. Now, for example, if I refer to the outreach portal, now once we are done with this particular workshop, what you're going to find after the workshop is over, this webinar is over, I'll go for the nodal centers, and then you would be having the IIT Delhi. Then you can click onto the IIT Delhi part, and then you will find the name of your institute, especially the institutes who have submitted their EOI. Scrolling it down further, we have the objective philosophy and the salient features. Now, scrolling it down, we have the broad areas. So these are the broad areas in which virtual labs, they have been developed. Now, let us see as a user how I can explore the labs. For example, I'll start with a very basic one. I wish to explore the lab from this chemical sciences domain. What I'll do, I'll simply click on chemical sciences. Now, after that, what do I have? I have labs ready for use. So what I did, I go for the main homepage, vlab.co.in. After that, I scroll it down in the broad areas, and over there, I found chemical sciences. And as soon as I click on chemical sciences, I have list of labs ready for use. So you can see the name of different labs. For example, we have this particular inorganic chemistry lab, one of the lab developed by a participating institute, that is Amrita Vishwavidya. So name of a lab. Just below it, we have other two options: reference book, which book a user should refer to for this particular lab for the in-depth knowledge, and also the syllabus mapping, of which all universities the syllabus has been covered. Now, just below it, you can also see the NPTEL video lectures. Now, you can see this virtual labs give you a good combination, a good combo, I'll say. For theoretical in-depth knowledge, you can refer to the NPTEL video lectures. For practical exposure, you can simply go for the links over here. So let us go for inorganic chemistry lab. Now, as soon as I click on inorganic chemistry lab, I have list of experiments in front of me. Okay, for example, I have this acid-base titration. I'll simply click on that. So as soon as I click on acid-base titration, I have a complete learning system in front of me. Now, why I am saying it is a complete learning system? Because of the various tabs that are present over here. Okay, so the very first tab is theory tab. Now, this theory tabs give you the objective that why we are performing this particular experiment. Scrolling it down, the prerequisite knowledge a user should have. What is titration, what is titrant, what is endpoint, indicator, everything has been clearly mentioned, so that a user should get the idea why they are performing the experiment and what are the various things, various concepts they should know. Everything has been defined. Now, after the theory part, we go for the procedure. Now, in the procedure, it tells us the steps that we need to take on the simulator window. There are certain steps which have been mentioned, you can simply see. Also, there are certain steps which have been mentioned, that points or the steps that you should remember if you are performing this particular experiment in the physical laboratory or the real laboratory. So theory is done, procedure is done. Now, before going for self-evaluation, we'll go for the simulator. I'll click on the simulator part. Now, it asks me to sign in. Now, in certain of the labs, you might require to log in. I request every participant to listen to me very carefully, and I'm repeating it once again. In certain of the labs, you require to log in or sign in. Please remember, there would be two options, two ways to sign in. Either you can freely sign up, or else what you can do, you can simply use this login option. As I'll use this login option, and now I can simply sign in using my own open ID such as Google IDs. Let me show it to you once again. In certain of the labs, you might require to sign in. Please remember, IIT Delhi will not give you any special login IDs. We will not give you any special login IDs. What you can do, you can simply go for the login option. Now you can simply sign in using your own open ID such as Google ID. Simply click on the Google icon over here. Simply enter your credentials, and there you go. You have this simulator part. Okay. Now you can see acid rate titration heading is mentioned, and just below it, we are just adjacent to it, we have this full screen mode. I'll simply go over there. Now this is the setup that we are observing right now in front of our screens. Now the same setup we also observe in our physical labs. But how it is different from the physical labs, you can see that we have these variables over here. Now if I click on the titrant, we have a list of titrant. In certain of the physical labs, we only have 1 or 2 titrant present. But in virtual labs, you can see you have a wide variety of that. Just below it, speed of the titrant. If you want to increase the speed of the drops, that thing can also be done. Next, we have the titrate part. So you can see the titrate over here. So these titrate you can select. So right now the titrate is HCl, titrate sodium hydroxide, normality. Okay. Now we want to just modify the value. You can see the exact numerical value that is mentioned over here. I want to change this value. Yes, I can do that. How? I have a slider over here. Simply click, drag, and take it to the other value. You can see the exact numerical value have been entered. Same goes with the volume of titrate. Simply click on the slider, drag it out, and you can simply just modify the value. Then we have this indicators. We have 3 indicators: methyl orange, phenolphthalein, and methyl red. Just for the sake of good observations, I'll go for phenolphthalein, and we'll simply go for start. So you can see we have this particular setup. We have a magnetic bed over here. Drops are falling out. You want to just fast this particular process, simply increase the speed of the titrant. So you can see now drops are coming up a little bit faster. And just focus over here, you'll also observe a color change, as well as we are getting the exact amount of titrant that have been used. So you see, we have observed a color change. Now, we discussed earlier in the presentation part, we have this modeling and simulation based labs. Now, this lab, again, is a combination of modeling as well as measurement based labs. Why modeling? Because we can observe a color change endpoint, and measurement because we can see the exact numerical value that we have obtained, right? Similarly, we also say that it is developed in self-learning mode. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll go for the reset option, and I'll choose my titrate HCl. I'll choose the titrate as ammonia. I'll simply just vary the normality and the volume. I'll take again the indicator as phenolphthalein, and I'll go for start. Now you see, it says invalid indicator, please try again. So if a user, if a student, if they're trying to perform the experiment on their own, and if they select the wrong parameters over here, they will get educated that, okay, this particular process is not feasible. Why? We even have mentioned the reason that invalid indicator is there. So this particular thing, this particular whole information is mentioned in the theory part. So that was the basic, one of the basic experiment that I wanted to demonstrate to you. Now simply go back, come back to that, okay? And after this you are done, what you can do, you can now refer to the self-evaluation part, go for the self-evaluation. We have a certain set of questions over here. Now simply select this particular options and click on the submit button. If your answer would be correct, you would be welcomed by a green tick. If not, you'll get a red cross. So you see, instantaneously, the students, they have read the theory part, they have read the procedure part, performed the experiment. Now, once they try to answer these questions, instantaneously they can get the output that whether the questions are right or not, and they can evaluate themselves. Then we have the assignment tab. So we have certain set of questions. So these questions can be practiced out in the either on the virtual labs or in the physical labs. Lastly, we have reference book. Again, we have mentioned certain books which a user can refer to, and certain web links have also been mentioned. Okay, so you see this particular template that would remain same in each and every lab. In each and every lab, you are going to find this theory part, procedure part, self-evaluation, simulator, and so on. Okay. Please remember, once you are done with a particular experiment, what you need to do, simply close this particular tab. I repeat, once you are done with the experiment, simply close the tab. Do not go for this home page. Because if you go for this particular home page, you're only going to find a small set of experiments. So that was the basic demonstrations part. Okay, similarly, you can see we have many more experiments over here. Now, with me, I have my teammate, Mr. Shivam Sundaram. So Mr. Shivam will take up from over here. Shivam, are you there?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
A very good afternoon to each and everyone. My name is Shivam. I work for Virtual Labs IIT Delhi. So we'll go for further tour for other core domains. So let me share my screen. Allow me a moment. I guess my screen is visible to each and everyone. So we'll go for another core domains. We'll start with the electronics and communication discipline. Then we'll further move on for computer science, electrical, mechanical, and the civil engineering. So once you go for the home page, vlab.co.in, you will go to the broad areas of virtual lab where you can simply go for the electronics and communication domain. We'll click over here and you can see again that these are ready to use lab. Now we'll start with the basic experiment. We will go for the digital electronics lab, which is developed by IIT Roorkee. We'll click over there. Now again, the template remains same, but the orientation might be different in certain of the labs. But the template will remain same for each and every experiment and the lab. We'll go for the list of experiments. We'll start with the basic experiment, which is verification and interpretation of truth table for AND, OR, NOT, and NAND, and multiple universal gates. So we'll just simply go for first experiment. We'll click over there. Now you can see again, these are the same template, aim, objective, and the theory part, self-evaluation, procedure, simulation, references, and the feedback. So we'll go for the simulator for rest on experiment. I hope everyone has got the gist how you have to go for move on to each and every template from the first experiment, which sir has already demonstrated to you. So we'll go for the simulator part. We'll click over here. Now this is how the simulator window looks like. Before starting the simulator window, I'd like to tell you how you have in certain of the devices, this particular, how you can enable this particular simulator window. Certain of the devices you might not find this particular simulator window enabling. How you have to enable this particular simulator window, you have a particular software named JavaScript. You have to enable this particular software named JavaScript in order to start the simulator window. I request please to mute your mic so that it will be convenient for each and every participants to listen. Okay, thank you. Now, how you can enable this particular software? You can simply go to this particular site settings option. Adjacent to the URL, you can see the lock button. I'm hovering the cursor over there. You can simply go for the lock button and you can go to the site settings option. In the site settings option, once you reach over there, you will see this particular JavaScript option over there. So you know that
दया सर अपना माइक ऑफ कर लीजिए प्लीज.
अरे कीजिए बच्चे पूछ लेना.
रणबीर दया सर प्लीज माइक ऑफ.
All right. Now you can see once you reach to this particular site settings option, you can simply see these are the options coming over here. Now we all know that this particular JavaScript is inbuilt in the web browser. So that is embedded into the web browser. You don't need to externally download this JavaScript. You can simply go to the site settings option and enable this particular software named JavaScript. In multiple more labs, once you just allow this, simply cancel this particular tab. Once you allow this, and in certain of the labs, in the high, you can say the advanced level lab, you will require certain more softwares. That are all open source softwares utilized in virtual lab platform, as you have seen in the PPT. So if you require more additive labs, or you can say additive softwares over there in certain of the advanced level lab, you can simply see there would be an extra tab given over there. That would be a software tab in this particular option. You can simply see one more tab would be there like software tab. You can simply go to that particular software tab and there you can simply download that particular software required. The instructions, the parameters, what you have to do, how you can install that particular software, that would be given over there. You can simply follow that particular steps and you can download into your system. Now, once you enable this particular JavaScript for the basic labs, all of the labs, you can simply enable this JavaScript. Then you can see this particular simulator window on your screen. Now let's perform one of the basic operation over here. For the AND gate, we will click over here for the AND gate. Now you can see this is how the simulator window looks like for this particular experiment. Now we have two simulators over here. One is the electric circuit diagram for this particular AND gate, and second one is the verification for the first experiment. First, you can say the simulator which you are going to perform. The second simulator just verifies the circuit diagram is true or not according to the truth table. Now in this particular simulator window, now you can see at the top of the screen, you have this particular instructions option. You can simply click on this particular instruction option and you can see these are the instructions which you have to follow. So first you have to connect the battery, then you have to press the switch 1 for the battery to be connected to the circuit, then the current flow would be there. And the switch 2 and switch 3 gives you input values of 1 and 2, like A and B, you can say. Now we all know this particular AND gate, we have this particular 1-1 condition where true and true condition gives you the output of true condition, right? If you have, you can say 0 and 1 is a basic condition. Once you give to the input values over there in any of the accumulator, 0 and 1 gives you a true and a false value, right? Or you can say the open circuit and the closed circuit. So once you click, first of all, we'll go for the instructions option. We'll click on the battery as per instruction. We'll click over there. Now you can see this particular battery has been connected to the circuit. Now we'll turn on the switch 1. Now you can see the current is flowing from the switch 1. Now we'll turn on switch 2. Now you can see now we have 1 and 0 condition, which does not allow the bulbs to glow. As we are using this particular AND gate, 1 and 0 condition gives you the output of 0. Only 1 and 1 condition gives you the output of 1 condition, the true condition. So what we can do, we can just turn on the switch 3. Now the circuit is complete. Now you can see 1 and 1 condition gives you the output, and you can see the bulb has been glown. Now we'll go for the second simulator. Just now to verify the first simulator, we'll click over here. Now you can see this is the verification of truth table for AND gate. Now again, you can see the instructions option over there. Once you click over there, you will get the instructions. Now we have the input values, like for minimum input value. Once you just put the minimum input value, there must be 2 minimum input values over there just in order to get the output, right? So we'll just take 2 input values over here. So we'll just take the first condition. Now for 2 minimum input values, we have possibilities of 4 conditions. So we'll take first condition 0 and 0, which gives you the output of 0. We'll try to check it whether it's correct or not. We'll click on check. Now you can see this is represented in the truth table. The A input is 0 and the B input is 0, which we have already inserted. Now the output is 0, which gives you a remark of correct. Again, we'll take another condition. We'll take 1 and 0, and the output must be again 0. Now you can see again it's a correct condition. If we just interchange this particular inputs like 0 and 1, again there must be output of 0. Again it says the third condition is correct. Now we'll take for the another condition like A is 1, B is 1. Just in order to validate that particular simulator 1 which we have performed. The simulator 1 which we have performed, just in order to check this particular validation, that particular simulator 1 was correct or not. You can just simply see we have turned on both switches and the output was bulb was glown, the true condition. Now we can simply see over here. Again, we can simply check over here. Once you go for 1 and 1, the output is 1, and you can see this is correct. Now, whatever the values you have entered, you can simply take the screenshot of it using this particular print option. You can print it and save it to your drive. If you want to validate for another sets of condition, you can simply go for the reset options and you can just perform it once again. Once the experimentation is done, you can simply close that particular tab. Now we'll go for another experiment from another domain. We will go for the home page. We'll go for the second domain, which is computer science and engineering. We will click over here. We'll go for one of the experiments over here. We'll go for the basics of HTML. We'll go for the list of experiments. Before that, I would like to elaborate what is HTML. HTML is hypertext markup language. So basically, we HTML is a DOM structure we use in the web designing purposes. Now, in order to make HTML more interactive or more dynamic and a vibrant condition, we embed CSS and JavaScript into it. So you can take an example for this in order to understand this. HTML is like somehow you can say the human body structure, and the CSS into that particular human body structure would be a color texture of the human body, like color of the blood, color of the skin tone, and the JavaScript part would, you can say, the function of that particular human body, like the pumping of the blood or the heart, you can say. That is JavaScript. Now you can see this, these are the list of experiments from the beginners to the advanced level. We'll just perform one of the experiment over here. We'll go for the embedding through iframe tag. Now you can see again the same template remains the same, and we'll go for the simulator section. Now you can see these are the demonstration part, demo part, where you can just perform the experiment and just get the demo how could be performed. But the main part where the task must be performed, these are the 3 tasks which you have to perform for this particular experiment. Where this is the code writing section. We use this particular ID, the Xcode over here. Using this ID, you can just write down this particular code over here. Whatever the codes you have written, you can see the preview result of that particular code in the preview section. Now we'll take one of the, you can say, images from the Google. You can see one of the image. We will take one of the image from Google, like we will take image of State Institute of Engineering and Technology. We'll go for the images. Now, these are the images of this particular institute. Now we'll take any of the image, like somehow I'm taking the 4th image. We'll click over there. Now we'll just take the image source. How you can do that? You can simply click this particular image and open into a new tab. So the source image would be displayed. This is the source image of this particular institute. We will just copy this particular URL. You can see this is the URL, and we are copied this particular URL. Now we'll just close this particular tab. Now, what we are going to do is that we are going to write down the code over here. I hope I'm audible right now. We'll write down the document type which you are going to use. Now the enterprise version is using type HTML5. HTML5 is an enterprise version. Nowadays, industries are using this particular HTML5. So we'll just click over there and we'll simply open the tags over here. Heading tag. Head. Now, once you open the tag, this particular ID will help you out in closing of the tag as well. It will let you remember, and it will automatically close that particular tag which you have just opened. Like somehow I've written the head and just clicked on enter. The closing tag has appeared to you over the screen. I will take the body tag. Now we are going to use this particular iframe tag over here. Now SRC stands for the source of the image which you are going to take. You can write down the URL which you have just taken. Now we need scrolling over there in the image source. Now you can see once you are writing the code, you can see the observation changes in the preview section as well. The iframe has been initiated. This particular iframe has been initiated. Frame has been, you can see it is visible over here in the screen. Frame is visible over here in the screen. We need scrolling over there. So we'll just simply write down yes for the scrolling over there, and the frame borders you need to take. So you need as frame borders as well. Now you can simply see what are the frame borders you can take, either a 0 condition or a 1 condition. So frame borders can be taken as a 0 or 1. I'm taking 1. Now we need a height and the width of that particular image. So you can simply take the height and the width parameters. Basically, it's called an attribute over here. So we are going to take the height of the image as 500 pixels and the width of the image as 300 pixels. So 500 would be a very large image. I will take 300 pixels over here, and width of the image I'm taking as again 300 pixels. So this will maintain the symmetry over here. I'll simply close this particular tab and we'll just insert the image source. Now you can see there might be some certain thing which I have not taken in the I have not copied whole of the URL. So I will just once again do it. I will go one of the image over there. Now you can see, we'll go over there, any of the image, first image I'm taking, in new tab, just copy this particular image source and put over here in the image section. This was the exact image, right? We have taken over here. So this is the image we have taken. Now you can see this particular URL over here, the exact source of the image. Now you can see this particular image has been displayed to you over the screen. So this is how we can just simply take the images, and we can just, using the iframe tag, you can embed into this particular website which you're using. Now there are certain more attributes, multiple tags like tr tag and whatever the, like for the table, if you are mentioning a table into a website, that which your td tag and the th tag we take over there. There are multiple tags, like somehow the body tag, the p tag, the for heading tag we have h1 tag. Now h1 tag has various levels of the tag. H1 stands for the main heading and h2 gives you a subheadings for that particular tab. So once you have done, we'll simply close that particular tab and we'll come to the home page. We'll go for another experiment from electrical engineering. We'll go for second lab, which is virtual high voltage lab, which is developed by IIT Kharagpur. We'll click over there. We'll go for the list of experiments. Now we'll go for first experiment, study of impulse voltage generator. We'll go for the simulator section. Now once you reach to simulator section, you can see this is the impulse voltage generator simulator. You can simply click over here. Now you will just relocate to the page for the simulator window. Now this is how the simulator window looks like for this particular experiment. Now we have 4 tabs over here: the controller, simulator, instruction, and the equivalent circuit diagram. Now once you hover the cursor to any of this particular, like instruction, you can see these are the instructions which you have to follow in the simulator window, right? Now for this particular circuit diagram for that particular image which you are going to take, like for the simulator, this particular simulator, what could be the circuit diagram? You can simply go for the circuit diagram over here, equivalent circuit diagram. Now you can see the charging resistors, front resistors, tail resistors, spark resistors, damping resistors or voltage divider, terminal resistance for measuring cable, generator capacitance, measuring cable, high voltage capacitors of voltage driver, div- uh, divider, and low voltage capacitor of voltage divider, oscilloscope, and the peak voltmeter. Now you can see these are the symbolic representation for that as well. Now you can see at the left hand side of the screen, we have the controller option where you can simply use this particular controller option just in order to change the parameters over here. So we will take V0 in kilovolt, we will take, and you can just change this particular parameter. Now you can see once you use this particular slider, you can change the parameter, and this particular parameter will be displayed over here to you over the screen. Again, you can change the CG, μF, and C1 as well. Now this is for the front register in front, used in front. So you can simply use this particular parameter change. For this is for the tail. Again, you can just change it. Now this is the spare gap. Now you can see in the simulator section we have multiple spares over here. So this is the gap between, there's a gap between this particular two spares. You can just change this particular gap, or you can increase the particular gap area, or you can simply decrease the gap area as well. Once you are done with these particular parameters, the input values, you can simply
Hello, sir. It's not audible now. Hello.
Shivam, we cannot hear you, Shivam.
sorry.
Yeah, Shivam, we were unable to hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, now it is audible, Shivam.
Okay. So once again, I'm just going to explain this particular experiment. Okay, so I was talking about this particular impulse voltage generator experiment. So you can see once you just enter to this particular simulator window, so you can see this is the controller option, and we have the 4 more options over here like controller, simulator, instruction, and the diagram. Representation and the right. Okay, so these are the symbolic representation over here and the instruments utilized over here, right? At the left hand side of the screen, you can simply see these are the controller option. Now you can see V0 in kilovolt over here. You can just use this particular slider and change the values again for the capacitor values and the resistor values. Now we have the spare gap. You can see the spare gap as well over here. Now you can just reduce or increase this particular spare gap. Now once you click on start experiment, you can see one more option is coming over here. Open the ground switch. As soon as I will click on open ground switch, you will see this particular ground switch would be open. Now you can see this ground switch has been open. Now we'll click on charge capacitors. The charging process will be initiated. Once it's done, we can trigger it. We'll click on trigger generator. Now you can see the trigger would be generated and the variable effect would be observed to you, even though the sound emission would be visible, right? Now you can see these are the characteristics at the peak voltage. The peak voltage in kV was the observation which we are going to the outcome which you are going to see over here. So the observation is the peak voltage. According to these input values, we have 23.49. Front time mu seconds is 0.5. Again the I do. And you can also save this particular graph over here. What are the graphs representation is going to come over here. It's loading right now. So whatever the graph representation you are going to get over here, you can save that particular graph representation using this particular button, and the image would be saved to your drive. If you want to go for another sets of values, you can simply click on restart and go for another sets of values as well. So once it's done, you can simply close that particular tab. Now we'll go for another experiment from another domain. We will go for mechanical engineering. Now we'll go for one of the experiment over here. We'll go for vibration and acoustic lab, which is developed by COE Pune. We'll click over here. We'll go for the list of experiments. We'll go for second experiment, which is impact test on cantilever model analysis. We'll click over here. We'll go for the simulator section. Again, we'll click for the simulator window. Now this is how the simulator window looks like. You can see these are the apparatus which you are going to utilize, the instruments. At the right hand side of the screen, we have a control panel option. In the control panel option, you can see the cross-sectional area over here. So these are the three width, height, and the length. These are the three parameters given over here. Now this comes under the measurement based labs, where you need an optimized answer, the exact numerical value, the calculative part. So this comes under the measurement based labs. So you can simply write down the values over here by your own. You can take the random values as well. I'm just taking the random values over here. Once you click on calculate, you can see these all section will be pre-filled, auto-filled, you can say. Now how you get this particular answers over here, you can simply see the cross-sectional area, how you got the cross-sectional area using the formula option. You can simply click and you can get this idea, like width into height. You have taken the width by yourself and the height. Now you have just multiplied this and you will get the exact value over here. Now moment of inertia, how you get this moment of inertia, you can simply click on formula and you can see 1/12 in the width into height cube gives you the moment of inertia. Now you can choose the material of the cantilever, density, and the Young's modulus as well. Now what we are going to do right now, the hammer position is at select. You can say 0 position. Right now the hammer position is at 0. Now we have certain node position over here like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now once you go for the at node position option over here, you can just shift that particular hammer using this particular section. I want to place this particular hammer into 7th position. We will just simply click on node 7 and you can see there would be a variable shift over here. This particular, once you click over here for node 7, this particular hammer will be shifted to the node 7. Now we'll click on hit the hammer. Now you can see the exact vibrational analysis over here. The frequencies were very high and it has dropped to 0. Right? Now you can just simply calculate the natural frequencies over here and you can just put these values over here as well in the observation table, and you can observe the FRF as well. Once you click on FRF, you can observe the FRF over here. If you want to go for another sets of value, you can simply go for reset option. And once again, perform this particular experiment. So we'll just move on to another domain. We'll go for the home page and we'll go for civil engineering lab. We'll go for one of the experiment from civil engineering lab. We'll go for transportation engineering lab. We'll click on list of experiments. We'll go for second experiment, which is impact test on aggregates. So go for the simulation part. Now you can see these are the objectives and the apparatus utilized over here. We'll just simply go for the next. And these are the steps which you have to perform. First, you have to take the coarse aggregate in the pan and measure it to 350 grams using the weighing balance. First of all, we'll just click on. We'll put this particular pan. Now, the exact value of this particular pan is 150, but we have to tear this particular value. So we'll click on tear and we'll just want this particular value of this particular coarse aggregate. So we'll just put this particular coarse aggregate into this pan, which is 350 grams right now. Now we will arrange the sieve in decreasing order of their size right now. So there's a question coming over here. Sieves are arranged in the ascending order as. So pan 10 mm and 12.5 mm. This would be the right orientation. So you will just put this particular 10 mm and 12 mm. Now we'll just put this particular aggregate into 12 mm sieve. Now we'll cover the flap. Move on to the next step. Now we will use this particular mechanical shaker and we'll try to settle it down. Whatever the small granules over there in the coarse aggregate, that would settle into 10 mm pan. We'll click on. Mechanical shaker will do its process. Now we'll go for the next process, which is step 4. We'll take out the pan and the coarse aggregate from it. Now it has settled to 10 mm pan. We'll take the coarse aggregate from the 10 mm pan and put it into this pan, and we'll just go for the next procedure. Now we'll just use this particular weighing balance and we'll just click on. We'll tear the value, the air value. Now we will just put this particular cylinder into this weighing balance. Now we'll just put this particular coarse aggregate which we have obtained in step 3, right? Now we'll just put this particular coarse aggregate into 4 layers into this particular cylinder. So first layer we have just put into the cylinder and we'll just settle it down. Now we are going to use the second layer. Again we'll settle it down. Third layer and the last layer. This is the last layer we are going to take. We'll settle it down and make the surface plane. We'll plane the surface over here. Now, the question is arising over here. Temping process is done to obtain the uniform compaction and to avoid the air voids. Yes, it's true. So we'll click on true and we'll click on OK. Now we have reached to the another process, another step. Now we have to note down the empty weight of the cylinder and fit the cylinder with the aggregate, retaining 10 mm sieve in 4 layers, right? So we'll go for the next process. All right. So this is how the process goes on. So we'll just tear the value. We'll quickly perform this. We'll go for the next process. Now this is the weight of the cylinder with the aggregate. So both cumulative weight you can say. We'll click on next. We'll just put this particular cylinder and we'll just thrash it, giving 15 blows over there. We'll put back the notch and we'll go for the last process. Now you can just simply put down this particular coarse aggregate and we'll put into the mechanical shaker. This is the last process. We'll click on. Go for the next process. Now it would be settled into this particular pan. Now you got the coarse aggregate, exact coarse aggregate which you are going to see. You after passing through 2.36 mm. So original weight was 350 grams. So we'll click on OK. Now we'll place this particular aggregate into this particular pan. Now we can go for the last observation, like empty weight of the cylinder. That was 1911.5 grams and the weight of the cylinder with the aggregates. So both cumulative weight you can say. Aggregate with the cylinder, which is 2458. And again, we have the weight of the aggregate passing through 2.636 mmc, which is 110 grams. Now you can put down into this particular formula and you can just get the value that would be around somehow 19.01. Nearby value, so 20.13. So you can see this is the exact value, so which comes under the strong category, right? You click on OK. So 10 to 20%, 20 to 30% comes under the satisfactory for the road surfacing. If it comes from a 10 to 20%, it would be a strong category. So you can see this is the satisfactory factor for the road surfacing. So this is how it can be done. So once it's done, you can go for the quick links as well over here. Like somehow if you face any queries, you can go for the lab feedback form. In the lab feedback form, you can simply write down your queries over here. There would be questionnaires over here, and you can just write down the difficulties which you are facing, and you can just submit to us so that we can get back to you very quickly. Again, once you are done with any of the experiments, you can assess that particular experiment using this lab assessment form over here. You can just simply use these particular parameters and rate that particular lab. So this was from my side. Like somehow if you have any queries, you can simply have one-to-one interaction, or you can just write down in the chat box section.
So any participant having any queries?
Sir, there is a concern of our institutes that all the lab experiments are not available in virtual lab. So is there, I have seen some boot camps are being organized by IIT Delhi or IIT Bombay for developing labs at their own level. Can you please share the criteria or uh, s- give some lights how
Sure.
we can, our students can participate in boot camps for virtual
Sure,
lab?
sir. So this boot camp is an activity where we tell each and every nodal centers, we invite a team from a nodal center, and we educate them how a lab, a experiment can be developed. So if first of all, before you coming for the boot camp, first of all, you need to find a particular gap areas. By the gap area, I mean to say that a particular experiment or particular lab which is not present on a platform. Now, once you search it out, after that, you can simply put a mail to us that we are interested in developing a lab, and you should also mention the name of the lab with the name of the experiment. Adding to that, let me tell you, if you are developing the lab, it should contain at least 5 experiments. Okay, so if you are interested, if you are seeing that this particular is a gap area, you can simply send us to set then particular your interest that I am willing to perform or make a lab. Now what we'll do, we'll simply just match it out with the proposals, because we already have a lots of proposals that are in the pipeline, and they would be coming in a very short span of time. Okay, so once we see your proposal, we'll match with the existing proposals that we have, and if you would not be having that particular lab name mentioned, then we'll give you the further details that this is the particular date for a boot camp, this is how you can invite your team, and all the details then will be shared after that. So this, the very first step is that find out the gap areas, find out the lab which you are looking for, email to us, and then we'll let you know. And this particular in the boot camp, we invite only the nodal centers. So please remember that.
So, sir, it was a good awareness webinar for our faculty, and it will be very useful. And I hopefully all the institutes, SITs and polytechnics will submit expression of interest form already shared with the institute after filling that form, and will submit to the IIT. Further, during this webinar, number of experiments have been demonstrated in almost all the branches which are more relevant to our institutes: electronics, computer, civil, mechanical, chemical. So, for experiments were given in theory, objectives, simulation, animation, results, and quizzes, which we can use for demonstrating to our students. Hopefully, all of we will be using this platform for doing the experiments virtually. Further, I am grateful and thankful to Shri Pratik Sharma ji and Shri Shyam Sundaram ji for organizing this webinar for our state, and a lot of institutes had taken interest and I assure your good self on behalf of SIT Nilokheri that our faculty will be using for the students, and all of the institutes hopefully will be organizing one webinar for the students of their own institute, at least one in 6 months or two in 6 months. So, sir, thank you very much for giving your valuable time and making awareness regarding this. Further, we will be in touch with you for any query or for any clarification or regarding virtual lab.
Thank you,
sir.
thank you, sir. And
Thank you, Walia sir. Thank you, Shivam sir.
also, I would like to thank each and every participant who have
Thank you,
joined.
sir.
Thank you, everyone, for giving you valuable time.
Thank you, Pratik sir, for such a nice knowledge. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.